The police were lying in wait outside the door.
We will warn.
Seeing them, the man pretended to groan in pain. He kept his eyes fixed on the peephole. The woman still tried to resist, but a cop suddenly rushed in and took her down. They completed the mission without a scratch, but the person they caught wasn't their real target. A week earlier, an officer from Homeland Security had been shot dead in broad daylight. Meanwhile, the victim's bank account suddenly showed a deposit of £200,000. It was highly likely he'd been framed, which meant there had to be a traitor inside the organization. So the boss formed a special team to investigate the case in secret. The scene shifted to Palm Valley Prison. Several inmates were closing in on the man. Fortunately, the guards arrived in time to separate them, preventing a violent brawl. Soon after, an agent entered the prison's medical room. It turned out the man was an undercover operative. He'd already been inside the prison for over 6 months, and was finally close to gaining the trust of his targets.
Doesn't matter. I'm pulling you.
You what?
You're getting pulled.
Early the next morning, the boss gathered the team members together. They were all elite officers from different departments. The woman was a seasoned cop, and she seemed to hold a strong grudge against the man. A year earlier, the man had suddenly dumped his fiancée just 2 weeks before their wedding.
Oh, yeah, that's interesting.
I also know her sister, Rachel.
Sure, yeah. Rachel looks a lot like her sister at 2:30 in the morning.
Soon, they arrived at Homeland Security, where they questioned a colleague who'd been close to the victim. It turned out the victim's job for the past few years was monitoring an organization called the King, but he often took time off to go skiing or fishing, and even owned a private vacation cabin. The man seized the opportunity to probe further.
What do you know about the unaccounted-for funds in his personal account?
The Banco Geronimo in Guadalajara is directly tied to the New Kings cartel. Fact.
But back at the police station, they meticulously reviewed every expense in the victim's financial records for the past decade, yet they couldn't find any clues. Just then, the boss seemed to realize something important.
You said he mentioned Banco Geronimo in Guadalajara?
You did?
Spellman couldn't have known the specific bank unless Darden told him.
Which is highly unlikely.
The man quickly led the team to arrest that same colleague, but as soon as they arrived, they saw him trying to flee. He floored the gas pedal, triggering a wild car chase through Beverly Hills. The man chose an unexpected route, swerving into someone's yard. Soon, that colleague was locked inside the interrogation room. After relentless questioning, he finally broke under pressure, admitting he was a spy for the King organization, although he claimed he'd never meant for his colleague to die. His leak of false information had ultimately cost the victim his life. And worse still, he revealed that tonight, the King organization was planning a major deal at Pier 31. They couldn't afford to wait, so they rushed toward the docks. Meanwhile, a transaction was already underway at the pier. Strangely, the scene was also filled with people wearing hazmat suits.